Hello and welcome back to the Let's Glow Show. It's Amanda Sweet, the Creative Fairy Godmother, and we're back this week with another amazing creative entrepreneur. This week is like no other. We have the amazing Canetha Amour-Porter with us. She's calling all the way from San Francisco today.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. All right. Before we get
Yes,
into all
ma'am.
your traveling, tell us
Okay.
all who you are.
Who am I? Okay. So I start off first with I'm a mom of five amazing kids. I'm a wife. Um, um, I am I am a believer. I have a relationship with Christ. So those are like the most important things. And then besides that, look, besides the most important things, I am Canetha Amour-Porter, and I'm the owner and founder of Amour Women. I I like to say that I build communities for women CEOs and founders. So that is my passion to help support them, to give them the tools and the communities they need. Because entrepreneurship can be lonely, right? Who wants to do this alone? Who wants to do this without being able to have safe spaces to talk and communicate about your fears and the things that you're going through? So that's who I am.
How did you get into that? Like, how did you get to
Girl.
becoming who you are? Because you walked
There
in the
is
door and I was like, this woman knows what she's doing. She knows what she wants. She knows where she's going. Like, you just got it.
thank you. I appreciate that. You know, it's so funny that I was never always like this, like who I am today, right? And it's been a drastic change because growing up, I was always like a people pleaser because I wanted everybody to be happy. I'm the middle child of three girls. So I felt
Mm.
like I needed to be the peacemaker. I was not shy because I was very outgoing, but um, I didn't like conflict. So I would run from it. Even if I thought, like, if I came into the office and I was like, oh, Amanda didn't say hi to me the way she usually does. She must be mad. And then I would like avoid you. Like, so
Oh.
crazy. And just with a lot of growth and understanding my worth and who I am. And I am who I am today. So that's how I got here. But okay, how I got to More Women. It's
Yeah.
you know how people were saying like 2020 brought some horrible things, right? And there was so much loss and devastation, but it
Mhm.
also created and gave birth to so many amazing things as well, right?
Mhm.
So I was a business owner in 2020 already. I had a natural skincare company. I created it because I
Really?
created this. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So out of the seven of us, right? Five of us have a skin disorder. I have seborrheic dermatitis. My husband and two of our kids have eczema, and then my youngest daughter, she has eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, and vitiligo.
Oh,
Yeah, like she got the jackpot of skin disorders.
right, right.
And it was when she had a new rash. I was like, this isn't usually what she has. Took her to a dermatologist. He was like, can she take a pill? And now at the time she was like 6 or 8. And I'm like, yeah, but what's the pill? He was like, oh, it'll help with her psoriasis. And I'm like, what are the side effects? He was like, oh, it may cause, he's listing them. And then the only thing I
Mhm.
heard was a depression and thoughts of suicide. And I was like, she's not taking that. And he was like, oh, the
Mm-mm.
percentage is so low. I'm like, no. So yeah, right. So I went to the natural food stores trying to find different remedies. I couldn't find exactly what I needed. And then I'm a busy mom. I wanted a one and done cream. I have three kids with skin disorders. I have two without. I wanted something
Mhm.
natural so I can put on all of them, oil them up, like get in the line
Right, right.
out the door. And so I created
Yep.
it. Yep. So that's how
Oh
Amore
my
Your
gosh.
Body was created.
Whoa. Did you
Mhm.
have any experience in like skincare, skin products,
No,
like, and
no.
were you
And
selling it?
So no, so for years, no, I didn't sell it. I would just make it and give it
Right.
away because every time I heard somebody who had a skin disorder, or people who just wanted, like, friends and family, they was like, "Oh, that your skin looks good. What do you?" And I would, it looks good. What are you using? And I was like, "Oh, I'll make you some." So I was
Right.
just making this cream for friends and family for years for free.
Right.
And then one day, my husband was like, "You know what? We both, even though our kids are getting older, we need to spend more time. One of us needs to spend more time at home. I'm the breadwinner. So he was like, even if you get something that pays, next to nothing or half of what you make, it's more
Right.
important for somebody to be there more with the kids. And
Mhm.
so I decided to quit my job and I started that as a business.
Wow. What was
Yeah.
that like for you? Like, were you working in corporate before? Like, what was that experience like going from like working full time to being at home to starting a business? Like, what did that experience do for you?
Ah, I'll tell you, like at first it's exciting, but if
Mhm.
you're extrovert, and I was always in corporate leadership, right? So I'm
Okay.
managing, right? Or I'm a director. I'm doing these different things, and I'm always with people.
Right.
Like managing one of the places where I managed, I had maybe 100 people under me, right?
Wow.
And so
Yeah.
you're walking in, and I'm personal. I know almost everyone, right? So I'm like, hey, da, 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 blah, blah. So
Right.
I'm getting a chance to help people, which I love doing. I'm getting a chance to be social, which I absolutely love
Mhm.
doing, and managing and making systems and doing those things. That's my jam, right?
Right.
So, but I don't like all the other things that come with it, right? They want you to be
Mhm.
there all of the time,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then all of the other stuff that goes along with it. You go from that to just you being at home. It's
Mm.
depressing sometimes.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
did you
it's
fight
lonely.
that? Like, how did you get from, "Man, this is hard,"
Mhm.
to, "All right, I'm ready to launch this business"?
I just I just do things. Once I make my
Yeah.
mind up, I just do it. And so what happened was, this is so important. If you believe in what it is that you're doing, you just have to do it regardless of anyone is following you. If you have even one supporter or even no supporters, if you know in your heart this is what you should be doing, then do it. Because most
Mm.
of the people that I was giving the cream to for free, once I put a dollar amount on them, they stopped getting it,
Right.
right? And so I'm like,
Right.
wait a second. I just knew that I had this amazing product, and I knew that it's been helping people's skin. I have all these testimonials. And
Right.
now, because I'm charging my worth, you're not getting it for free. You don't want it.
Right.
And so I was like, what am I going to do? Right.
Mhm.
And I just was like, you know what? I need to just go find a new community. And that's what I did. I went out and I started networking, and I didn't really, in my corporate positions, I never really networked.
Right.
We would, so I never had to like be out there, and it's like, what's a chamber? What's this? Right.
Right. Right.
And I found this amazing group called, at the time, it was called Girl Boss. And
Okay.
the owner who started that, same thing. She was like, I'm an entrepreneur now and I need a community. And we and her are best friends, that we do a podcast together called The Queens of Effing Everything. But
Okay.
I I joined that community, and they embraced me and supported me. And some of my
Mhm.
closest friends still to this day is a part of that community. Yeah. So it's now called, I'm gonna put a plug out for it. It's now called Boss Evolution. And her
Okay.
name is Erica Hellwig. So shout out to her, because they helped me to be like, no, I'm sticking with this. This is what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you're worth the dollar amount. And I feel like I've experienced that before where, I upped the price and it wasn't free anymore or it wasn't $5 or something, whatever the case may be, and then felt like I lost traction. And then I
Yeah.
turn around and say, like, is this worth it? Am I doing something wrong? Am I the problem? And all of my friends, all of my mentors, all of the people that see the vision are just like, just keep going. Just keep going
Find
because
a new
there might
audience.
be a new audience. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And the chambers, it's funny because since I've been doing the show, so many people have been talking about the chambers, and there's a huge world of people that don't know about local chambers, local organizations, how to network, how to get out there, how to put your product out there, your service out there.
Yeah.
And like, especially if they're coming from corporate America where they just get put into a social circle, they're in
Yeah.
their bubble, they don't have to go out to like get the things that they need. They just have to go to
Yeah.
work and go home.
Exactly.
So what advice do you have for someone that's going from corporate, going into the entrepreneurial world and trying to find their new audience because their old audience wasn't doing it?
I would say find a community, right? We would love to have you at Amour Women. Especially if you're serious and positive. I say we're exclusive, but for the right reason.
Hmm.
That's our tagline, right? We're exclusive for the right reason because we want you to be a go-getter, a giver, and not just a taker. And we want you to be positive, right? So if you fit that bill, then you need to check out Amour Women and all the things that it has. But if not, find a community. And you have to be okay with paying for being a part of a community or service, because you're not, if you want people to pay your worth, you're going to have to pay for to be a part of organizations. And that's one of the biggest things I feel, people are like, oh, people in my family or people in my circle are so negative. I get that, right? And a lot of times what I had to learn is that, well, some people are just negative, right? But your
Right.
friends and people who love you, sometimes they're negative because they're scared for you, right? They
Right.
are speaking their own fears into you and they want you to succeed, but then they're scared because they don't want you to get hurt. Right. And so
Right.
I had to figure out which one was which. So you get rid of this just negative people who are not trying to support you anyways. And the people who
Right.
love you and care about you, but they have fears and concerns, you know, then you understand when they say things, you know how to like channel it another way or say, hey,
Mm.
you know, I need positive space. I deal with a lot on my own already. And then because they don't
Ooh.
understand that as well, right? They don't understand that like you're dealing with all these emotions and things that you're going through. And so once you
Yeah.
express that, they're like, oh, I didn't know, no, I'm sorry, So
I
I would say
like that. I just want to
community.
I want to double back on that because
Yeah.
I feel like that was a golden nugget right there. And it was
Okay.
real quick. And so for the people in the back that didn't hear that, so like I feel that as well, especially with family and friends. Not that they don't believe in what I'm doing, but
Mhm.
they have their own limitations. And
Yeah,
their limitations exist within their mind. And when they see the vision and the ideas that I have, it's a little bit outside of that range for them. And so they'll
exactly.
critique or they'll give me feedback that is unasked for, or the realistic thoughts and opinions that often tend to be like, what if it fails? What if it doesn't go well? What happens if this? What happens if that? And not that not already asking myself all of these questions, but like
Yes.
if they feel me this kind of energy,
Mhm.
how do you redirect it? Because sometimes I struggle with that.
So it all depends. If you can have a candid conversation with them, to say, look, that what I'm doing is scary. I don't, it's already scary. I'm trying to figure it out. I understand your concern. Like, speak to it. Like, don't tiptoe
Right.
around it, but speak to it. I
Ooh,
understand. I know you love me. I know you're concerned. But when you say things like that, it makes me feel this way, or it puts added pressure on me. And because they don't understand, they just think, oh, da da da. And then some people,
right.
you just be like, oh, really? Oh, oh, okay, girl. In my head, I'd be like, what?
You didn't hear
Oh,
what I just said, but anyway. Yeah. But that's a
or
message. It's a message, and it tells you how to approach that person with your thoughts
exactly.
and ideas in the future. That's a really
Yeah.
good point because I want to talk to everybody about all my ideas all the time, but that's
Oh, but
not.
you can't. That's okay. Well, let's
Yes.
start there. You can't
Okay.
share. Okay, so one of the things I have instilled in my kids, right? I always tell them, you don't get advice in an area, right? Not the actual person, but in an area that you wouldn't want to trade places with them with, right? So if somebody is great at finances, but they're trying to give you relationship advice and you won't want to trade places with that and have that relationship, don't take that advice. Doesn't mean that they
Mm,
don't have good advice in other areas, right? If you would
okay.
trade bank account, if you would trade bank accounts with them, then take their financial advice, right? Because what
Right.
happens
Right.
is usually when people are good in one area, they think they're good in everything and they try to give you advice in every area. So
Hmm.
I would say you can't share everything unless you know that they understand, unless you know that they've been there and they get it. Sometimes we put ourselves in those positions or those situations because we're excited and we just want to share,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if you're excited, that's where your community comes into play. And then if you feel like, I hate when people are like, oh, they just haters, da da da. Well, then that's not your community. Move to another
Right.
community, right? And keep on
Right.
looking and then find the most positive person you know and ask them who they know, right? Do you know anybody in
Hmm.
this space? Do you but it requires you to do homework, to step outside your boundaries or your comfort. I shouldn't say boundaries, but your comfort zone, because you always should keep your
Right.
boundaries.
Yes.
Your comfort zone to be able to do what it is that you want to do, because you won't get where you need to go by doing the things that you used to do.
Mm, mm. Message. All the messages. All the messages. Yeah, I feel like I'm moving in that direction, but I
Mhm,
see a 20 something version of myself where I was just like, I could just feel the excitement in my whole body and I just want to
mhm,
tell everybody everything. And then
mhm.
I let something that someone said that had certain influence on me affect the way that I perceive my idea or perceive myself. And then it changes the trajectory of said project. So I see a past version of myself doing that. And I wish I would have known this sooner. I wish I would have thought about it sooner, but now is the time, you know?
Girl, let me tell you, I won't say, well, I'm gonna say my age. I'm 40. Oh, how old am I? I'm 48 years old.
Yeah, yeah, some 40 some.
I'm 48 years old.
Yeah.
And I have started businesses, stopped businesses, let people speak death into my business because it
Mm,
scared me. I mean, and we all feel that, but that's the things that we grow and we learn. That makes us better. And
right.
right now, I feel like I'm at my prime because my youngest child graduated high school last year. And before, when I was doing business, I would feel mom guilt, right? Because I wanted to be with my, I wanted to be um I wanted to be able to participate in all my kids' things, and I did. Like I was almost at all their games, swim meets, and all the things, the field trips. But
Yeah.
that it came with that, and so now I feel like it's a perfect time for me, right? Because I had so many, and I had to give. Oh, this person needs, it was all so many, um, and I feel like I'm the best. I wouldn't trade this age and this time for anything.
I love it. I love it. And as a youngin, like I remember being like under 10 and being like, I
Mhm.
can't wait till I turn 45. Like such a weird thing for
Really?
like a 7-year-old, 8-year-old. But I've been
Yes.
thinking this for so long. Like, I'm like, I can't wait till I get to my 40s. Like, I'm excited for it. And when I
Aw.
hear young women that are like, oh my God, I'm turning 30 this year. Like my little
Mhm.
sister just turned 30 and she was like, having all
Aw.
this anxiety about it. I was like, where did this come from? Like, it gets better. Like, I
Oh my
promise you,
goodness.
it gets so much better.
Oh,
And I feel
I
like I'm constantly surrounded by like just a plethora of ages. And
mhm,
I, for whatever reason, there's like a group of like 20 somethings. I always have like a small group of 20 somethings. And maybe it's because I have
yeah,
like younger teams, but
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all like, I'm turning 30 in like 3 years. My life is over, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, girl, look at the stuff that you're doing right now. And imagine what you could do if you're like 3 years better, another
You know
decade smarter.
exactly. I feel like our
Right.
society puts so much pressure on us to know what we're gonna do, right? Did I
Yes.
know I was gonna own a More Women and own a More Women Foundation and be doing all of these things? No, like you were like, "What's my journey?" My journey was like, like it's all over the map, but it needed to
Yes.
be because I needed to learn all the things, right? And
Mhm.
so, but I feel like we have to figure it out. And that's one of the things I try not to put on my kids because they're all different and they're all going to get. So I have one child, Mackenzie. She, from a young age, she knew she wanted to be an attorney, right? And so it's easy when you know what your kid wants to do, because you put them on
Right.
all the things and everything, right? And so now she's 19, she's in college, and she has a full-time job working in the legal department. How was she able to
Wow.
do that? Because she knew the route. But I try to tell my
Sees the
other kids,
vision. Yeah.
exactly. But I try to tell my other kids who don't see the vision, like, it's okay. It's okay. As long as you're being a productive person and you're taking, you're able to kind of take care of yourself, you're working, you're going to school, like, it's
Yeah.
okay, right? So don't let that pressure be put on you that you need to figure it out. I just really
Right.
figured it out. So More Women started when in 2020, right? So I was 45. Before that, Amor Your Body started. Um, um, Maybe 5 years before that, right? Why can't I do my, like,
Mhm.
2015?
Okay.
Took me a minute to do that math. I don't know why.
It's
Maybe
okay.
because
It's
it's
early.
like it's 4:26 in the morning here.
It's 4:26 there. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Okay.
4:26. Um, right? But
You're
you
doing
know,
it.
but that's the thing, like, I never would have known. So I would say within the last 10 years, I've been on this path. But
Right.
that means I was 35 years old,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Everybody's not going to figure it out at the same time because we all need
Yes.
different things.
I love that. And I feel like I'm at a place right now where I don't know what it is, and I'm constantly asking myself, like, what is it? What is the thing that you're going to be doing? I need to figure this out. And I feel like I'm in that headspace right now where I don't know what it is. I am
Mhm,
struggling to figure it out.
mhm,
Um, I'm coming to terms with, I think that my previous season is ending and I'm ready to
mhm,
start a new season of whatever
yeah,
this new season looks like. There's
mhm.
this mourning period that I feel like I'm going through where I'm like, am I doing myself wrong? Is this the right direction? Am I pivoting in the right way? Is it going to fail? I'm asking myself all these questions. So it's really reassuring to hear you say, like, just keep going, just keep doing things, just do
And
things that
feel
feel good.
Yeah, and feel the feelings, because going through that grief and that loss is it's real.
Right.
When my business got to the point in 2021, I couldn't do both. Like, I couldn't still make the creams and the all the things and then still do this. It was too much. And
Right.
I had to make that decision. I'm like, I have to let one of them go. Which one is going to be let go? So I let go. I'm Your Body. I still make the
Mhm.
creams and products now because my family still use it, and I still have
Yeah.
friends and family who still use it, right?
Of
Um,
course.
but and they pay. They don't have to pay the
Better.
retail price because I don't have to make it
Right.
all pretty, but they get it in a container with no label. We're good. Um,
Yes.
but what was I gonna say?
You're talking about grief.
Oh, so I remember I was so down and depressed because of it. Because in my head, I was going to take this national, it was going to be in stores everywhere, all the things. And
Right.
my oldest daughter, she was like, "What's wrong?" And I was just like, I feel, and I felt like a failure in a way because I felt like I was quitting something. Like, why,
Mhm.
like I'm giving up, I'm quitting. And my daughter said to me, and at the time, I don't know, maybe she was 18 or 19. Um, she was like, "Mom, you've outgrown that. This is who you are. Like, I can't even see that's, you just doing that. Have outgrown that, and it's okay. Say goodbye to that because I can't even see you doing that anymore." And that helped me so much to be able to grieve over it, but not feel like I'm giving up or I'm a failure. Like, we have to be able to one of the most expensive coaches that I've had, um, I got one thing from there, right? And sometimes it's
Yeah.
like that. Like, you do things and you kind of know the stuff, but
Right.
this was the most important. It saved me the most time, grief, and energy. He said, everything is in beta. Even when
Mm.
everything is in beta. So it's always going to be changing. So don't feel like it has to stay like this, because
Right.
life is a beta, like, you're always testing it out. Products are a beta, like, everything is always in test mode. And so when you
Mm,
know everything is in test mode, you're able to say, oh, yeah, that didn't work. And you're able to discard it without discarding your self esteem, your confidence. You're able to discard that product, that service, right? It has
mm.
nothing to do with being attached to me, right? I would take it personal.
Yes.
And now I'm
Yes.
like, oh, nope, that was in beta. I beta tested it. It didn't work. So next.
Right. And that's, I feel like I attach a lot of my self-worth to my output. Like,
Mhm.
I've been taking some social media breaks. I've been doing the Let's Glow show, but I haven't been like engaging on Instagram as much as I used to. And it's just not
Mhm.
fulfilling my attention the way it used to. And it's not a priority for me right now. And I'm like, I'm failing.
Oh,
I'm doing something wrong. I'm not
yeah.
keeping consistent on my social media. Me. Me, the human, the person, the individual. And I'm like
Yeah.
putting this energy on myself. And then there's this other part of my brain that's like, but you need to chill and it's okay.
It's
And
okay.
do it. Do it. Your body's asking for it. You need it.
Yeah.
You want it. You have to take this time because for whatever reason, we're getting called in this direction. So do it.
Yes.
But I think I'm in this period where I'm like trying to detach from that it's a personal flaw, you
It's
know?
so I get that. I love that you're sharing that. And
Yeah.
what we have to realize, even if we don't know it, you have so many people looking at you and saying, oh my goodness, you know, she's so great. Let me follow what she's doing. Let me do what she's doing. And we need to show them, hey, I'm taking a break because I need a mental
Right.
break. Right. I know people
Right.
who will go and to mental breakdown.
Right.
And so you're serving no one. So we need to show I do the same thing. Like I'll take breaks. I was strict about for maybe 3 years. I was very strict about Friday mornings. I hike. Everybody would be like, but you could be doing da, 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 da." But that's what helped get my stress under control. That's what helped me get new ideas. That's what helped me to be able to have that time to be able to have a release. And that your
Mm.
release is so much as important as your building your creativity, the
Mhm.
creative fairy godmother, right?
Yeah.
So you can't be creative if you don't have space in there to do that.
Right. How did you get to hiking? How did that come into your life?
So the COVID, that's another thing that got birthed out of COVID. I
Yeah.
never liked, the outdoors. I mean, I do, but I don't like bugs, right? So it's like
Right, right. Yeah, you're
and
like,
then
"Hello?" Yeah.
exactly, hello. And so one of I call her my sister friends. I she her sister was getting married. I used to do scented hand sanitizer as well. And it was in 2020, that was a big rave. Her sister
Right,
was
that
getting
was a
married
whole
in
thing.
2020. Yes.
Right.
Um, she was getting married in 2020, and somebody was like, "Oh, and they needed it to be like private label." And so they were like, "Oh, you need to go see Canetha." And so she came. Well, she did. We did a phone conversation. We went back and forth over the phone. I created the label.
Mhm.
We would just go back and forth via like phone and internet. And then she picked it up. And then maybe a month, and when she came to pick it up, we were just like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
And then maybe like 3 weeks later to a month later, she called me. She was like, "Oh, I just wanted to give you feedback. Like everybody loved them. It was great. Thank you so much." And then she was
Yay.
like, "Yeah, by the way, me and my daughter, we're going to this camp, right, that my friend owns in Ohio. And you and your daughter want to come?" And I was like,
Is it gonna be
and
outside? Right.
well, that plus I didn't know her. Like I only seen her
Right.
once, right? And so,
Right,
but
right.
something told me something was like it was like a good feeling, and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, I was like, my husband gonna be like, what, right? And she was
You're
like, well,
going
there's no
hiking?
right. Well, she was like, there's no cost. He's letting us stay on on this property, and then we're gonna hike. We're gonna do this, whatever. She was like, we're gonna drive down there, so it's just gas and food that you have to pay for. So it is
Yeah.
so funny how you have to listen things you usually don't do. If things, because I was like, oh no, God, like should I do this?
Right,
She
right.
could be like she's
But
taking
you
me
felt
out somewhere.
comfortable.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so, but anyways, we ended up going. All things came together, and my husband was just like, "Yeah, sure." And I was just like, "Ooh." And my daughter, when
Okay.
my daughter said, my youngest daughter, because she could be anti, when she was like,
Okay.
"Okay," I was like, all the signs were saying,
Right.
"Okay, this is where you
Everybody
need to
said
be."
yes. Okay.
But yeah,
Right.
so we went on this trip. It was amazing. It was
Oh,
a amazing, beautiful trip, and I've been hiking ever since. And what's funny is that when we got back, I fell in love with hiking. She was like, it's wintertime. I don't do wintertime. And she says, but I
right.
have a girlfriend who does. So
Uh-huh.
I this is a community again, right? So
Yes.
I reached out to the woman, and she was like, "Yeah, join us." Da, da, da. I get there, and they're all Muslims, right? And so it's no big
Mhm.
deal, but they're all like their head is covered, whatever. And I was just like, "Oh, am I supposed to be here?" Right? Kind of
Right.
situation. And am I going to feel welcome? Did they know that I'm not? Like, is it okay if I'm not a Muslim to be able to walk with them?
Right.
Um, and let me tell you, we walked. Now, one of my hiking buddies, now that we hike all the time, came from that situation, but that's me putting myself in another community to get what I needed.
Right.
And that's one of the
Right.
things that I do is if I want to get good at something or if I want to add something to my life, I find somebody who's doing it and I get advice from them, I partner them, I mimic their behavior because I want what they have. So if they're really good in fitness, I will follow them. I will do the things, right? Like cuz that's important to me as I get older. If
Hmm.
they're good at eating healthy, like you can't just
Yeah.
if you're not used to doing something, it's gonna be like
Hard.
you might as well be failing because you need
Right.
a template, a guy. You can't just wake up and say, I watched so many TikToks, I know how to do it. You better
Yeah,
find
you're
you a
like, I've
group of
ingested
real
it.
person.
Yes. Yes, that you can experiment with and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
I was saying this like last week. So I'm seeing a dietitian. I've been seeing a dietitian now for like maybe 5 months.
Okay.
And I was at a point where my health was being affected. I have gout, so it impacts my mobility. It was
Okay.
happening a lot. Like my doctor was like, usually people only get it like once or a couple times in their life. And I was getting it every couple months. So I was having these
Oh,
huge
okay.
flare ups. They were having me like foot swollen, up on the bed, couldn't walk for like a week at a
Mm.
time. And it was just happening over and over again. And I wasn't changing my behavior. And my doctor was like, you got to change your diet. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I've been eating this way my whole life. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I've been taught. And he was like, well, we can give you a pill or we can do this or we could do that. And I was like, there's got to be another way. And
Yeah.
for the last 3 years, I've been alcohol free. So that was the first thing I cut. I was like, okay, no alcohol. That was like one of the big triggers, but I was still
Mhm.
getting flare ups. And then so I went
Okay.
to red meat. Okay, so red meat was one of the big triggers, still getting flare ups. So red meat free, alcohol free, and still nothing. But I was like, I am capable of making change, but I don't know the changes that I need to make because I've never been a healthy eater, so to
Yes.
say, so to speak.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've never been taught nutrition. I'll put it that way. And
Yeah.
so now I'm seeing a dietitian. I haven't had a flare up since I met her. And
I love that.
now that I'm like, I can feel my body kind of being like giving me the hints of like, oh, your uric acid levels are getting kind of high. Like I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in my mood. I can feel it in my energy. And I'll just change it up. I'll just eat something different that I know that I'm capable of eating that's
Yeah.
healthy for me. I'm like meal prepping. I'm eating like 6 times a day. I'm
I
eating
love
amazing
that.
food. Everything's like all natural, or I cooked it in my own kitchen.
Well,
But
wait a
like,
second. Your lunch bag, ma'am.
where is it?
Your
Oh,
lunch bag. I walked in and was like, God, I love that part. She was like, oh no, this is my lunch bag. I was like, oh my goodness, it's so fancy. I'm sorry, but I was just like, oh my goodness.
I love it.
I instantly was like, da, 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 da.
Modern
And my
picnic. So,
yes, yes.
yes, it's amazing. They have beautiful lunch boxes. That was a
Mhm.
gift to myself when I started working at Bamboo because I was working from home for 4 years and I was like, I
Okay.
want a cute lunchbox. I want to be like a grown lady, but I wasn't the whole first like year and a half that I worked at Bamboo, I never used it because I didn't know how to pack a lunch. Like I knew how to pack a lunch. I could make a sandwich. I could make a
Yeah,
salad. I could do
yeah.
leftovers and stuff like that, but like I wasn't fueling myself. I was feeding
Yeah.
myself, but I wasn't fueling myself. But I didn't
I
know how
love
to
that.
do it. So I
But see,
paid for a dietitian
in your
to
mind, like
teach
you
me.
already knew you wanted to go in that route, right? Because let
Right.
me tell you, and if you are an affiliate, make sure you put your link in here. But that lunch pail, I was like, oh, it's not even lunch pail, that lunch purse.
It's a
It's
lunch
a spirit
purse.
yes, you're
Yes.
shelling the dough. So you already
Yeah.
knew, like, even if you didn't realize it, that that's the route you wanted to go, right?
Right.
It just but there's a process, and I love that you
Right.
have gone through that process, but you already knew, you were like, "I'm gonna take my lunch instead of be eating," because we work downtown Royal Oak. There's
It's
everything there.
easy.
It's so
Literally
easy.
everything. You can literally
Everything.
get the guy across the street to DoorDash you food across the street. Like, I see it every day. It happens every
Are you
day.
serious?
People are getting DoorDash from the places across the street.
Oh
And,
my
you
goodness.
can get so heads down or
Yeah,
like spend so much money. And that's another thing we're working on our financial education and our financial intelligence and like that's another thing that we felt like we never learned. My husband and I, we didn't know anything about nutrition. Not this is
mhm,
not a knock at our parents at all. They did
mm,
exactly what they could. And Labrie's mom is a huge health nut. She's been trying to teach him for a long time. She's been trying to knock it in his head. But um, you know, so
yeah,
like we've been trying to learn nutrition and trying to pick the pieces of financial education and intelligence out from all of these resources, but we're like, what is the vision? What is the goal? We need to learn some things. We need to read some books. We need to take some classes. We need to sign up for some courses. And
yeah,
so we're shelling out the money to
mhm,
get the education that we feel
yeah,
like we're lacking
yeah.
because we can't keep asking people like, what do you do? Like at the coffee machine, like, how do you like, tell me about your like 401k. Like,
Right? Well, yeah, because
what
and
are you
then
investing in?
they're like, "Excuse me, ma'am?"
Right. I mean, people are
So
used to it from me, but still,
yeah,
it's like it's
right,
not
I get
enough.
it, but they can
Right.
only go so far, and then their goals and what they're doing it for is different than yours, right? And so
Exactly.
age is different too. I love that because that's what me and my husband do. Like, we didn't grow up in households where financial literacy was a thing, right?
Mhm.
He had an aunt that would help him, right? Because she was very
Okay.
frugal. She was very on about her business on that,
Yeah.
and she would input some things. She did put things into him to help him have a baseline. I had no
Yeah.
baseline. I was all over the place financially, right? And
Right.
so I knew, right? Because in one life I was a mortgage broker for years and I knew how to help people get their credit good. And I knew it's like you
Yeah.
need to, your utilization needs to be here, and da da da. But how to do
Right.
that on a regular basis, I didn't have the knowledge to live that way, right? And so
Right.
um but we pay for Dave Ramsey course. We took that. That was awesome. Now we do all these other courses. You have to why if you only want to deal with things that are free, you're only going to get so far.
Yep.
You
Yep.
have to I love the fact that you say you and your husband like invest in like getting the books, getting like books, webinars, mentors, all those things you have to pay for. Pay for it.
Yeah. And it gives you a return. It's not just
Oh,
a you're not just shelling out money endlessly. And like I feel like there's a school of thought where it's like, well, it's gonna cost me money and what am I gonna get from it? And constantly like, what am I? What am I? What am I? But it's
yeah.
like you're paying someone for their knowledge or their expertise so that you can have it too. And I've been, the dietitian is not cheap. I'll be
Yeah.
just fully transparent. It's $350 a month. That's a lot.
Okay.
That's a lot
That is.
to shell out, but I'm
But you're
like,
worth it. Your health
I
is
haven't
worth
been
it.
exactly. I haven't been back to the doctor. I haven't had a single flare up, which was happening like almost every other month.
Yeah,
So almost every other month, I'm a week
I
off
love
of
it.
work where I can't
Mhm.
make money,
And
you
you make
know?
way more than $350 a week.
Exactly. So I'm not at work. My health
Yeah,
is poor. My mental health is poor because I'm constantly having this like poor health that's making me immobile. And,
yeah.
I have this like a cane in the back of my closet in my bedroom for like if it gets really like that bad. And it's every time I
Really?
see it, I'm just like, oh my God. Like it's a whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like you see, I'm 33 years old, 34. just turned 34. So I'm 34 years old and I see this cane in the back of my closet and it's like looking at me. And it's like,
yeah.
I see you. You're going to need to use me if you don't
And you're
change your
like,
behavior. And
right.
I
And let
could
me tell you,
bedazzle it,
you
but why
are
would I put that
too,
energy into it? Yeah.
yes, but you are too fabulous and amazing to be able to not be your full version of yourself.
Yes,
'Cause
exactly.
what we don't realize is that it takes up all that energy, right? But when our health is not what it's supposed to be, that means our mind is clogged. It's not, it's foggy. People are like, oh, I'm so
Yes.
foggy. Like, oh, I can't remember all these things. It's not because you're getting older. Well,
Right.
sometimes it may be a situation, but that's different.
Yeah.
But it's because you're not feeding your brain what your brain needs. You're not feeding your body. Like you're super like gluten. I gave up gluten and I'm constantly giving it up and then I'll
Mhm.
fall. But that's okay. I'll fail forward. I'll fail to success, right? Because I love pastries and bread. Me and Andrea were walking down the street the other day. We're in San Francisco. Okay. Did we talk about like why I have pajamas
No,
on?
we didn't. We went right into it. Okay, so you in Royal Oak with me most of the time. You're in Metro Detroit,
Yes.
but
Yes.
today you're in San Francisco.
I'm in
Tell us
San
why.
Francisco. So let me tell you, we talk about paying for things. We're going to a conference in LA for almost a week to learn to be better
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, right? But while we were here, Andrew was like, "Oh, I want to see the Wiz," and they're going to be in San Francisco. So we flew here first to see the Wiz. We saw it last night. It was simply amazing. Um, um, what's his name? Oh man, he plays Brady. Um, he's like a comedian. His last name is Brady. I can't think of his
Is he
name.
on whose line is it anyway?
Yes. What's his name? Wayne Brady. Okay,
Yes.
so Wayne Brady, this is for you. My girlfriend, so we're from Michigan. My girlfriend went to Chicago to see you in the Wiz, and you were not there. Then we flew out to San Francisco because she wanted to see you in the Wiz, and you were not there. So she is super upset.
Ooh.
She has went to do 2 different states to see you perform, and you were not there. So if you
Mm.
get her a shout out, you do a little something, because she is
Yes.
mad at you. Okay. Anyway, other than
Wait,
that, it was
Brady.
other than that, it was amazing. And then
Yes.
so we fly out today and we go to LA. We'll be in LA for a day and a half just to kind of do whatever, and then the conference start. It's not cheap. I'm investing money into doing this. And
Yes.
every time I invest money to do this, I come back a new person and I come back with the knowledge that I need, usually a new community because I'm always meeting new people, having new connections,
Right.
and the amount of money that I spend is going to be nothing compared to the amount of money that I'm able to earn and the person that I become.
Mm.
So we
I
talk
love
about
that.
spending money to do things, even
Yes.
sometimes if it's your last. I have went to
Yeah.
a conference. It was my last, but it was right before I started my cream business. I'm More Your Body.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a conference in LA. Oh my goodness. I went to a conference in LA and I took the last amount of money that we had to go. And
Yep.
I'm like, ugh, right? Get there, life changing, come back, start my business. And this business led into this business.
And here you are now, thriving,
Yeah.
shining, glowing, doing all the things.
All the things.
I
Yep.
love
So
that.
invest in yourself, invest in
Yes.
your health. You're worth it. I feel like
Yes.
because we don't grow up usually with parents and our community who does it, it makes it hard for us. And then we look at, oh, I don't really have it. You can't afford not to have it. You can afford not to do it. Like you were saying, your health is worth it. You are worth it. So
Yes.
if
Yeah.
whoever's listening to this, my like takeaway is you're worth it to have a better community. You're worth it to
Yeah.
have the essential things that you need to change your. You are worth it to pay for someone to train you how to do whatever it is in life that you want to do. You are worth it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I want to drill that into people all the time. I'm constantly paying people for their services. I'm constantly saying like, who else can I hire? Who else can I hire to help me figure this out?
Yeah.
Because it's valuable. It's valuable to invest in yourself. It's valuable to learn. It's valuable to grow. It's valuable to bring in experts that know things that are not your expertise, to give you that support, to help coach you, mentor you. I don't think since the first time I ever got a coach, official coach, like paid for a life coach, I was probably like 25.
Okay.
And I haven't been without a coach ever since. I'll cycle through coaches. Like I'll have my seasons with coaches, but like I'm constantly working with someone, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever. I'm always working with someone that knows something different than me and investing my money in it, because I just want to, the positive forward motion is the goal. It doesn't matter if you're running a mile or just like putting your shoes on. It's just positive forward motion, period.
Yes.
At any rate.
Exactly.
So,
and I will want to add this. So having a good coach, they will let you know when your time is done. Your coach is to take you to one level. And sometimes you can find a coach that'll take you to a couple, but then they should know, like, okay, you're getting to the point where you've outgrown me. And you need to know that too, because some coaches won't tell you. You have a great relationship with them, you're just jiving. But if you can't get what you need, it's time for a new coach. And I want to say vet coaches. So there's certain things that we don't vet. We will want to buy a product. We will look at the reviews. We will see who the company is. We'll like do so much research, right? We do so much research on things that are not as important. I just bought a new computer. Oh my goodness, I did a ton of research. But what we don't do research on is our relationships. We don't do research on people who are in our lives to try to help us. We don't do that due diligence. So there's a ton of coaches, because the entry level to being a coach is very low. Like you don't have to go to school for 4 years. You can take classes. I have my certificate. I'm licensed coach as well. But the entry level is so low. So you need to make sure that they're bringing it, right? And you need to start putting yourself, if you are the smartest person in your circle, or one of the smartest people in your circle, you need to add an additional circle. You need to, and it's hard and you may feel out of place, but if you're going to be the sum of the 5 people who you're with on a regular basis, and if you don't have somebody who's doing better than you, making more money than you, on higher levels than you in different areas, then you're going to stay in that same circle. So you need to kind of level up. Not saying you discard the other one, but you need to level up to a new circle as well.
Invest in those circles. And there's so many popping up. Like Amour Women is one great one, but there's so many, and depending on where you live, and I know I have some people that are outside of Michigan. We got some people in New York. We got some people in Texas. We got some people in England. There are social circles.
We are creating chapters all around the world. So
if you want to lead a chapter,
how do you lead a chapter? You go to our website on memberships. It'll talk about like find out who we are and see if it's a fit, right?
Do your due diligence.
Yes, do your due diligence. Research me. But you find like you'll be able to see our creed. Our creed basically says the heart of Amour Women, right? And then you find out how you be a member, and then you find out how you can be a legacy leader. And yes, we are open because more people need us. And they're like, oh, I wish you was here. Da, da, da. And I had so many people say it. I was like, okay, it's time. It's time. So we're opening chapters in different areas. So if you want to be a legacy leader, go to amourwomen.com. There's a form that you can fill out, because we want to make sure that you're, it's not just you just automatically do it. We want to make sure it's a good fit and all the things. So yeah, definitely.
I love it. I love it.
But yes, there are other communities out here. If it's not Amour Women.
Start Amour Women, start a chapter, join another program, start your own. But invest in those communities, because they're popping up all over the place. And
yes, they are.
Like you just need to get out there and do it. I love it.
Just do it.
It's been an hour. That was so fast.
It seems like so fast. Oh my goodness. I always love spending time with you. Thank you
I
so
know I
much
love
for
spending time with
inviting
you
me.
too.
You're simply
I
amazing,
love it.
and
So
all the
are you.
things that you do. And so I just know I can't wait to see the things that you have coming up and the things that you
Yes.
accomplish. So, yeah, I'm super
Appreciate
excited for it.
you. I feel the same way about you. I loved you since the second I met you. I was like, oh my
Aw.
gosh, kindred spirits.
Yes.
Before we go, I know you
Uh-huh.
gave a last little nugget, but
Yeah.
I always ask at the end, like, if you can give one more piece of advice, what would you
Mhm.
give?
I will say, because we talked about a lot about finding mentors. I
Yeah.
learned that I find you need to find a mentor whose life mimics what you want and not just the money part, right? Because you can follow somebody who's about money, but they have a crappy like home life because they're so focused just on money. So find somebody who mimics how you want your social life to be, your family life, the money, all of it, because then they're going to teach you the ways to get money but still have your family intact and have your soul intact, and all the things. And that's super important. So when I follow someone, I love their whole lifestyle and not just one aspect, because
I love
let me
it.
tell you, nothing comes before my family. And
Yep.
I would give everything up if I had to pursue something so much where I neglected and didn't put time in my husband and my children.
Mm, I love it. That's so beautiful. And I love the fact that you said, like, do your due diligence with people, because I'll definitely jump into a coaching relationship real quick. I'm like, let's do it. Let's go. I'm
Mhm.
just going off the vibes. But
Yeah,
yeah, what is a little research? A little research never hurt nobody. I love
yeah,
it. Okay.
never.
So where can people find you? Tell us all the social
All
avenues.
the socials. Okay, so I'm Canetha Amour, which I think is Amour.Porter or Amour Porter, right? On the socials. Amour Women is almost everywhere. We're on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram and Facebook. I'm a woman of an older crowd. um, but so you can go to Canetha.com. It shows you almost all the things that I'm doing. Our nonprofit. I do have a leads group or a networking group that's outside of Amour Women because it has men involved. And then Amour Women. So Canetha.com, or you can go to amourwomen.com. But my pages are open, they're not private. So you can kind of just follow me and see what I'm about before you say, oh, okay. Like do your due diligence on me and see if we're a fit. But reach out. I would love to hear from you. And yeah. If you're in
Awesome. Thank
LA, if
you
you're gonna be
so
in
much.
LA, DM me because I would love to connect while I'm there. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Canetha, thank you so, so much for your time. Thank you
thank
for waking up
you.
so bright and early and being such a beautiful light on the Let's Glow show. I appreciate you so, so
Oh,
much.
thank
Thank you
you.
all. My name is Amanda Sweet. I'm the Creative Fairy Godmother. This is the Let's Glow show, and we'll see you next week with another awesome entrepreneur. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you. Mwah.